Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome to the Jagner channel, and I'm coming to you guys with another commentary. This time it's going to be a 16 Mists of Tirna Scithe, the easiest dungeon in the Shadowlands expansion, and this is going to be a bit of a different commentary since it's not going to be really like what you should focus on, though I'm going to be talking about that as well, but it's going to be mainly like what's running through my mind when I'm running through these dungeons. I just wanted to make something a bit more special, so let's jump straight into it, guys. So here you always want to have a Night Fate to open this door since I have no idea about any other routes, and then you are pulling these two packs. Just make sure that you don't pull the pack on the left, and make sure that your DPS doesn't pull it either, because then it just has to be a vibe, since otherwise you won't have your pride. And on these small mobs, what you need to focus on is that they are applying kind of like a bleed or a debuff. I'm actually honestly not 100% sure, and if you just want to time a 15 key, then you don't really need to know this, since you can do pretty much nothing about this as long as I know. You just need to heal it, you just need to dodge it, you just need to stun them as much as possible. So what I'm thinking about here is just to stay alive. I'm trying to help my healer with a bit of heals. I'm trying to kite them a little bit in the end, since there is a spiteful affix, and then you just try to nuke them down. There's not really much to really think about or focus on here. You just want to kill them as fast as possible and to use any stuns that you have available. So the next pack is going to be having Harvester, Soul Cleaver, and this big tree thing as well, which I have no idea what's the name, but the thing that you want to focus on is that you want to miss this frontal that the tree is casting. It's very visible, so you can really just avoid it. And then you want to make sure to interrupt the Harvester, but in the same time you don't want to stun the Harvester, because you want all of your stuns on the Soul Cleavers, since this thing that these mobs are casting is just absolutely brutal, especially on a 45 week. I mean, I don't really know how to handle this any other way than using treants from a druid or just stunning them, because it's just shreds the tank down. It will increase the damage incoming, and also they are going to be healing themselves with every single hit, so you need to do something with those Soul Cleavers. You need to stun them. You need to use some treants so they are not going to kill your tank, or just need to use some extreme defensive cooldowns for this, because they are just gonna shred you down, I'm telling you guys. Alright, so moving on, you want to really skip this pack, because if you don't skip this pack, then you won't have pride for the first boss, which is definitely not good. It doesn't matter if it's tyrannical, if it's fortified, it's just you need to have pride for this boss, guys. It's just like you are going to lose so much time if you don't. Moving on, the next pack is going to have two Harvesters, so you just want to make sure to interrupt these. But you are also going to have two Soul Cleavers. So as I said, Soul Cleavers, you see it here, they just started hitting me and I'm on 10%. And guys, I'm like 217 item level, I have high verse. I was having some cooldowns already popping here, and still like these are just brutal. So you need to have all of your stuns for these, or you need to kite them. But if you kite them, then the casters are just going to stay in one place. Otherwise, only if your people are good and they are always interrupting them, then it's going to be fine. But as you see, I start kiting and they are just splitting up, because the Soul Cleavers are also running faster, and then it's just like it takes way too long to kill them. They are all over the place. It's just a mess. You don't want this, so you need to coordinate your stance for this, or just use if you have a druid, then ask them to run the treants in this dungeon, and then they can help you out, but they are just brutal. Moving on these two mobs, what you really want to focus on if you are playing the tank, or if you are playing any DPS or even the healer, is that when they are casting the Bramble Burst or whatever it is called, then you want to instantly sidestep. As you see, as soon as they start to cast the Bramble Burst, I'm moving a little bit, and then I'm not going to be standing in this black AoE thing, which will slow you down and just cause you unnecessary damage. So you don't want to put even more pressure on your healer with this, because they are just going to suffer here anyways from the Furious Thrashing. And on the Furious Thrashing, if you have any means, then please help out your healer. You can blast after that. These two mobs don't have to die extremely fast. We are going to be having a pride after, so you don't need to use your cooldowns for this. Just make sure that you stay alive. Just help out your healer if they need some help, especially on a 45 week. These are very challenging. And if you did this route so far, then you are going to have the pride for the first boss following these two mobs. And on the pride, Well, I'm sure that you guys know at this point we are quite long into the expansion, so I'm pretty sure that you know how to handle a pride, but just to be sure, I just want to mention to you guys what I'm focusing on here is so that you want to skip these kind of like arrows coming out from people to 4 sides, and if you have it on yourself, then you don't really want to move. So it's always better if the people who has it on themselves, they don't move, and all of the other people are making sure that they are dodging it, because if you move with it, then it's just going to be a mess. So please don't move with it, please don't move with this. Just stay in one place and let your teammates dodge this. Other than that, you just want to make sure to use some defensive cooldowns here to help out your healer, since definitely on this pack you don't want to use CDs, since you will need them for the boss. And that's it pretty much. On the boss you want to make sure that you are interrupting Ingram Malok as much as you can. If you have a protection paladin like me, then you don't really need to do this, because I can pretty much interrupt nearly every single cast. And other than that, you just want to nuke down the tree. Only thing that you want to keep in mind here is that you really don't want to go into phase 2 with fear, which can happen quite often. And unfortunately, guys, I have to be honest with you guys, I don't really know when that fear happens. I don't have a timer for it. I'm just usually just praying that it's not going to happen. Like even here you can see that we are getting this damn fear in, but my group is just so damn crazy that they are going to nuke this boss down in like 5 seconds. I don't know what's happening here. Just look at that health pool. It's a plus 16 key and it's just dying in seconds. So you want to learn to leave your bloodlust and all of your cooldowns for this phase. So don't use the bloodlust in the beginning. In the beginning you are just nuking down the tree with just some basic CDs. You don't want to use your biggest CDs, and you also have the pride. You nuke down the tree and then you bloodlust, pop all the CDs, and then you have to nuke the boss. Moving on, here you want to check which way the fairy is flying. Here it did fly to the left, so you can pull the pack from the right, and this way you are having kind of like cheating a little bit, but you are having an extra pack, and this way you are going to have the prize for the second boss. So keep this in mind. So if you manage to have this luck that the fairy is not flying towards the right, then as you saw, you can pull this pack through the wall, and then you have an extra pack, and then if you kill this, then you are going to be having a pride for the second boss, which is very, very, very good. Yeah, so on these packs, what do you want to focus on, and what do I'm thinking about is that I always want to target the Mender. Here I was a bit lazy, to be honest. I was used to playing with my premade that my friends were always interrupting, and I was just a lazy ass, and I was pretty useless here, to be honest. So you want to target the Mender. You always want to interrupt the Mender's what is that, heal. And you also want to make sure that you turn these mobs away from your team, since as you see they are doing this flurry, which is a frontal, which is going to be smashing down your team, especially on a 45 week. Here I'm facing them just towards my team, just as a pro. Yeah, good job. So as you see, even with some mistakes you can time a plus 16 dungeon. Maybe this was not thanks to me, but that incredible mage which was doing like 7k DPS, oh my god. Anyways guys, so you want to make sure to turn them away from your group and to interrupt the Menders. Also, well, lucky I can talk about these packs quite a lot because there's gonna be a ton of them here. Also, you want to make sure that you have somebody stun the defender or the guardian. Now here, I am not 100% sure. I was still lazy, and I could go and check it now, but I want to stay authentic, and I will tell you guys the truth that I'm not 100% sure if you will need to stun the defender or the guardian. As I know you need to stun the defender, but the main thing is that if you see the circle around these mobs, as you will see it on maybe the next pack, there appears a circle around these mobs. In that case you will need to stun the defender, since they are casting this, and if you stand in this, then they are going to push you out from the circle and deal you quite a big damage, which will split up the mobs and just cause a big mess. So you need to have somebody save some stuns for these defenders. So that's pretty much it, and you are going to be having many of these packs here. So you always want to have somebody interrupt the heal from the tender. You also want to interrupt there's some kind of code that one of these mobs are casting. I'm not 100% sure about the name. Anyways, you can see here the circle around the mobs, and if somebody will stun the defender, which I cannot do here since I have it on cooldown, then it's going to disappear, and you can just continue staying in the middle and fighting the most, because you want to pull some crazy DPS here even as a tank, because I mean you can pull the best DPS in this dungeon. Anyways, if you were lucky, as I said, with the first pack and you could pull the extra, then you will have the first pride here around the third room. I think we are in the third room, and just as usual, just make sure to use some defensive cooldowns, help out your healer with some extra off heals, and also to dodge all of these arrows. And as always, if you have it on yourself, then just stand in one place, please, and don't bring it on other people. Don't make it harder for others to avoid this. Anyways guys, with the pride, you want to make sure that you don't mess up the guessing game. Please, if you are in a group and you have this route, then rather take your time. Rather lose 5 seconds from that pride buff, but don't mess it up. If you mess it up, then you lose your whole pride buff, especially before the boss. You will have another pride, and if you mess that up, then it's just gone. It's just gone. You are losing like 1 minute, your pride buff, it's just gone, your key is gone, it's horrible. So rather lose 5 seconds and be sure, check those marks, and then go through. Please don't be the person who like rushes because you have the pride buff and yes, let's go and blast, and then you just lose the whole pride buff. Like that's just horrible. Yeah. Anyways, we are killing these here, and then we are going forward to the big mob. There's always one room where there's one big mob. Here we are having this Mistveil Knight something Night Blade, I think. Anyways, this will cost a triple bite, which will apply a poison on you. It's good if you have somebody who can remove this. Since I'm playing a paladin, I never really tried how it is if you cannot remove it, but apparently it damages you quite a lot. So if you do not have anybody that can remove this, then just pop some defensive cooldowns for this, since the triple bite is already going to damage quite a lot, and then you will have this debuff on you. And other than that, you are just dodging this AoE and all this basic stuff. There's nothing really that crazy in this room, to be honest. So you just smash this down, and then you can go for another pack, which is going to be again pretty much the same thing as before. And here, as you can see, I'm even mentioning it to my team because I had a team just before which messed up that pride, and it's just very bad, guys. You are losing in total. It counts as like 2 minutes lost, and that's way too much in this dungeon. That's way too much. And also it will make the boss fight so much harder. So no, that's just horrible. So you want to take your time with the pride buff, and you want to be 100% sure that you are going towards the right way. Even though at the very last one you can see where the boss arena is going to be, but still, just please be sure. Here on this pack, I think there was 0 tenders here, so it's a pretty lucky one. But you still want to make sure to stun the guardian. Actually, yeah, there's 2 guardians and there's 2 orbs, and I'm even jumping in here. I think I'm gonna get knocked out. No, because I stunned them with the torrent stun. The torrent stun, anyways, is just amazing. I know that Blood Elf is the meta or whatever for paladin, but I just find torrent much better. And as you can see, guys, this is the last room, and we are having a pride, which is going to be absolutely amazing for the first boss. So if the fairy, the boss actually, in the beginning is going not to the right, then always please make sure that you are pulling the spec, since this is going to help you out on this boss fight quite a lot. Anyways, we are just killing this pride, and then we are going to rush on to the boss without any failure, because luckily now my team is not like the last one. And anyways, I think it's me breaking the mist here, because I see, as you can check actually now here if you want to, the map, and you can see which way the boss arena is going to be. So on this one, the last one, you can usually just see which way you need to go, because you see where the boss arena is. So I'm checking here the marks, but then I realized that I should just check the map, and then I'm running through this one. Yeah, just right here. See, yeah, and then that's it. Anyways, guys, on this boss, you always want to have your interrupt ready. There's only one thing to interrupt, so you can't really mess it up if you just pay a little bit of attention. The patty cake needs to be interrupted. If it's fortified, or no, it's actually if it's a tyrannical weak, then it's just going to one-shot you, so you don't want this. On the guessing game, it's going to always cast a patty cake, which you need to interrupt, and it's always going to have a fox out as well that you want to stun or CC or something. So just please, if you are the tank, just let your team do the guessing game. You have to focus on quite a lot of things to stay alive, to bring the boss there, to stun the fox, to interrupt the patty cake. So if you are trying to even do the guessing game, then I mean, if you are very good, then of course you can do that, but normally it's just like way too risky and way too much mess, and I would just recommend to you to just let your people do it, trust them, and then just follow them wherever they are going with the boss. Anyways, the whole boss fight is just going to be, that's it, nothing else. You need to interrupt the patty cake, you need to always stun the fox or run away from it. I mean, that's an option too, but it's just like messy. As you can see, I think even in this group we are failing once. I think the healer gets frozen and I just start to panic heal the whole team. So there's another guessing game, there was another patty cake. You also need to dodge this dodgeball, but I don't think that I need to say this. This is communicated by the game like crazy with all these arrows. So I just like to bring the boss towards the target, since you can kind of cleave and you can do some damage as well to this target to bring it down even faster, since the boss cannot be damaged during this time. And then you are just having, I think, 3 phases of this, and that's it. As you can see, the fox is out, and I think this is going to be the time when we are going to be failing. I think my healer is going to get frozen, but luckily I'm a paladin and I can just mash out some lay on hands and help out my team a little bit. Yeah, but anyways guys, this is all the tactics. It's a pretty simple boss, but to be honest, all of these dungeon bosses are pretty simple. You just really need to focus on them, and when you are running a half an hour long dungeon, then sometimes it can be very challenging to focus. And as you can see here, the fox catches, and then we are having some issues. I'm pushing out a lay on hands and then I'm nearly dying. I have my cheat death. And anyways, that trinket, guys, you want to get that. It's from Kel'Thas. I think for every single tank it drops from Kel'Thas, and it's just like, it's crazy good. It saved so many of my keys, I can't even count, guys. That's the best trinket I think in the game. It's just a must. It's a must-have. That trinket is amazing. After this you are jumping down, and here please make sure that you put down the attachment from your mount. You have this attachment that you can run on the water with, and I saw so many people dying. Yeah, so just the main thing is that please make sure that you are not dying here, because you are going to be losing so much time with resting people and waiting for people to run back and all this stuff. So just please make sure that you take down your attachment if you have it on, or just dismount. Following that, you are going to be having these worm mobs and you just want to focus on the staghorn. You always want to have this targeted, since this is the only thing that you need to interrupt here. All the rest is just like very simple, easy mobs, but the staghorn, every single cast needs to be interrupted. One of them is going to heal their allies, and the other one is going to be applying an absorb shield, which is an absolutely nasty absorb shield, which will nearly double their health. Like that's just, you don't want to let that go through, especially on the bolstering week. Just going to mess up your whole pool. So just like, you always need to interrupt this, but in every single pack there is only one, and you have like 5 people in your group, so if you cannot interrupt this, then you are doing something very, very wrong. Moving up, I always pull this pack with these little reavers, which are going to be applying a nasty poison on you. So it's definitely good if you have a paladin in your group as a retribution or protection, like me here. So the reason why I'm pulling this together is that because I can dispel this poison and I can help out my healer quite a lot, but anyways this poison will do some crazy damage to you, and it also, these reavers are going to be applying poison to your party members too, which is very, very nasty, especially on the 45 weeks. So if you don't have any means to dispel the poison, then you should not necessarily pull these together, because it can be very, very dangerous for the tank and for your team as well. Anyways, after this, just you are going to be having one more pack with the staghorns, and then the last pack is going to be also one with the staghorns. So just as always, you want to focus your interrupts here, because no one of these casts has to go through. Like, you really need to interrupt these guys. This is a massive, massive important thing that you need to focus on here. Also, it's going to be applying this red circle around your party members. The only thing here is that if you have it on yourself, then just move out, please. Even if you are a melee, then just move to a place that nobody else is in this circle, since when this circle is going to be ticking, then it's going to be pushing one of your team members who is standing in it away, and you are most likely going to fall down, since this platform is pretty small and it will push you away quite far, so you will most likely die. And the run back, especially if you don't have a night phase and you couldn't open the checkpoint, then the run back is going to be crazy long. So you definitely, if you have that green circle around you, please move out from your team, and anyways, just make sure that you don't run into the circle if you are seeing it on somebody else. Here we are pulling the pride and our healer dies, which is definitely not good, but luckily we have so many combat res left that we can still res him and we are good to go. But on the pride, just the usuals, just dodge the arrows, help out with some defensive CDs, and just try to nuke it down as fast as possible while saving some CDs. The good approach here, especially if you have a coordinated group, is that one DPS is going to be using their cooldowns and the rest is saving it so that you can blast with the pride buff following this pride. This is the next pack. It doesn't really matter if it's a fortified or a tyrannical week. I always pull these two packs together, since you can kite them away. They don't really do anything that you need to interrupt. They're just really simple mobs. Like, you just need to avoid the AoE on the floor, this green circle also that's being put on your party members so that you are not pushed away. So there's some stuff to avoid, but you can kite them. There's nothing to interrupt. Like, they are very simple mobs, so you can simply pull these together. Even if there would be one more pack like this, I think I would just pull 3. Like, these are like very simple packs. So you definitely want to pull 2, especially since you are having the pride buff, so you can just smash them down very fast. And then following this, you just need to pull 1 more pack so that you have the pride for the last boss and also the 100% trash count. But it's very easy, since just if you run past the last boss, there's gonna be like 3 or 4 packs more, so even if you need 2, then you can just easily manage it. Like, it's very simple. Just make sure that you have some interrupts ready, since this next pack is going to be having a stack horn in it, but since on the last pack you didn't have to interrupt anything, it's going to be very simple. So here I just pulling them, and I just always focusing this stack horn. I'm always focusing it since I have plenty of interrupts as a paladin, so I can just deal with it myself. I use my actual interrupt for the first one, and then for the second one I usually save a shield. In case it's doing it in the same time like here, then I'm a bit messed up, but I just hope that my team is ready and that they can interrupt it. So it's all going very well here. My team is smashing them down extremely fast. I mean, the DPS here is just crazy. And then we are having our last pride, and then we just need to fight the boss. So it's nothing crazy here. If you have a tyrannical week, then this boss can be very challenging, so you definitely want to keep your cooldowns for it. You don't want to use them on the pride. But on a fortified week, you can even use some cooldowns for the pride, since with the pride buff plus bloodlust, this boss is just going to be laying down very fast, guys. Yeah, so just make sure that you survive this pride. Just help out your healer with some off heals like I'm doing here. Maybe you can pop an anti-magic shield or something like a small defensive cooldown, but most of it should be left for the last boss, as I said, especially on a tyrannical week, since that time it's going to be quite challenging. So guys, let's move on to the last boss, and then let's succeed with this dungeon. So on this boss, both of the cast needs to be interrupted. It's going to be casting this parasite and the consumption. The parasite you can just instantly interrupt, otherwise it's going to be mind controlling one of your team members. But the consumption you can only interrupt, as you can see it here, when you are like hitting down its absorb shield. But it's pretty simple. Also, it's going to be shooting out some AoE, some poison thing that you need to avoid, and also during the consumption it's going to be putting this blue swirly AoE on the floor that's going to explode after a couple of seconds, so you need to avoid this as well. As you could see here just a second ago, this poison that it's pushing out, it's going to be pushing out 1 more every single time when it's casting it. So the first time you just need to avoid 1 circle under you, and then it's going to be putting 2, 3, 4, 5, and these circles always move, so the longer the fight lasts, as you can see here it was already 3, the longer the fight lasts, the harder it is. But that's it, guys. Other than that, there's like ads spawning, but there wasn't any ads here actually, so we just easily kill this and you succeeded this dungeon. So this is it, guys. This is the Mist of Tirna Scithe from my perspective. There might be some other stuff that you need to focus on. This was a very basic guide, but these are all of the things that I focus on as a tank on my level, and I'm pretty sure that if you can focus on these things and you can keep these things in mind, blah blah blah, then you can just successfully smash this dungeon on a plus 15 key level. So as always, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button, it means a lot to me, and please subscribe, because I'm going to be releasing new videos every single day if I can. And as always, guys, I appreciate you, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.